This episode of the Happy Diabetic Kitchen podcast is sponsored by my diabetes supplier, US Med. US Med offers free shipping and 90-day supplies with every order. To see how they can simplify your diabetes care, call 888-885-0012. I can feel the love. Remember, there is a much better solution, US Med. Healthy eating on a budget. It's really easier than it sounds. This is the Happy Diabetic Kitchen, the podcast about people who love to eat and cook healthy. This is your guide to the world of healthy cooking and conversations about happy diabetic living and lifestyles, where we simply turn ordinary ingredients into something extraordinary. Welcome to the kitchen, and let's get cooking. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am Chef Robert Lewis, the Happy Diabetic, and this is the internet's most delicious cooking podcast. I'm here in the kitchen getting ready to explore a healthy diabetic lifestyle. I want to take the mystery out of healthy cooking and explore some amazing foods and my diabetic journey with all my successes and challenges. So, let me help you live your best diabetic lifestyle. So, welcome to the kitchen. If you're new to the show, I am so happy that you're here. With me in the kitchen, as always, is my son Jason, engineer and producer of the podcast. Good afternoon, Jace.
Hi, Dad. How's it going?
Really great. How are you?
I'm pretty good. How about yourself?
Well, I'm doing great. The weather's amazing outside. Took a little bike ride today to my endocrinologist appointment, and that went really good.
Good.
So I'm feeling good about stuff.
Good.
Yeah. But I'll tell you what I'm not feeling good about is the price of food at the supermarket.
Whew.
Have you noticed that?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Stuff's a little crazy out there.
It is. I mean, I just can't get over how little my food budget goes these days. And I'm kind of concerned about it because I love to eat and I love to cook. And eating it healthy is part of a diabetic lifestyle. So today we're going to just chat a little bit about that. I've got 5 simple tips that could help you. They help me, so I'm going to share them with you. But listen, it's not new news that food prices are on the rise. In some statistics that I've been reading, beef up 16% increase. Chicken up 13.4%. Eggs an 11.2% increase. Rice, pasta, cornmeal about 9 to 10% increase. Milk, it's up about 14%. Butter up 12%. Fresh fruits and vegetables anywhere from 5 to 6 to 10% increase. And frozen and freeze-dried prepared foods up a whopping 14%. It's really amazing. I mean, any sense, Jason, what is causing those increases?
I mean, they say it's the supply lines aren't, running consistently, and who really knows? Right?
Gas prices.
Yeah. It's a host of issues, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just harder to make your dollar stretch. So, in this podcast, we're going to talk about my 5 tips to help you eat healthy on a budget. And the recipe of the podcast is Charlotte's Dill Pickles, an old school recipe. And when we get to it, I'll tell you all about Charlotte. So that and much, much more. Jason, what do you think? Should we get cooking?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, welcome back. We're going to get started on my 5 simple tips. These work really good for me. And, typically when I shop, I end up usually shopping at 3 different stores. Now, I don't work for any of the stores that I'll mention, but just to give you kind of a sense, because again, I'm shopping for certain items to get the best price and even availability. So I like to shop at Aldi's. If you have an Aldi's in your neighborhood, Aldi's are I believe, part of the Trader Joe's chain. And it's really a great budget, high quality grocery store. I'll sometimes shop at the big box Costco's or Sam's Club to get some bulk items like paper towels, tissue paper. That works really great. And then for things like, I need a cat litter or a special kind of cat food, I'll go to my local supermarket. But the one thing I always do, tip number one, is plan my recipes. So planning ahead simply allows me to think about all the food needs, tastes, and budget that I'm going to need. If you know you have to stretch your money this week, meal planning can really pay off. So really adapt recipes that fit your needs. Choosing meals that help manage your blood sugar is key to managing your diabetes. If you love pasta dishes, but your diabetes meal plan has you following a lower carb diet, well, you can stretch recipes that use veggie noodles instead of traditional noodles. They're a great alternative to increase your vegetable intake and keep your blood sugars from spiking. There's a really great pasta called Dreamfields. Your supermarket may have it. It's a very low carb wheat pasta that's really, really delicious. If you can't find it, you can find it online or even ask your supermarket and see if they'll carry it for you. I like to also use recipes with common ingredients. So using the same ingredients for multiple meals doesn't mean you have to taste the same. So using different herbs and spices can turn common ingredients into meals with different flavors. I like to cook a lot with oregano, basil, rosemary, garlic, cracked pepper, spices like that. If your favorite protein is chicken, cook one whole chicken and use it in several different dishes. You can have chicken and a vegetable stir fry one night, chicken fajitas another night, and maybe some chicken salad on the other night. Find ways to stretch a recipe. For example, make a large batch of vegetable soup or chicken chili or chicken and wild rice that can last through the week. Or do what I do, I make enough to freeze it and I have the leftovers later. So if you were to come over to my house right now and look at my freezer, you might find 4 or 5 giant baggies full of different soups that we pull out and we eat. It doesn't necessarily cost you less to do it that way, but when you do buy in bulk, things could be costing you less, yet it's just more efficient to cook that way. You'll also spend less time in the kitchen than if you make a different meal every single night. Sounds like fun to me. That's the way to do it. So Jason, let me ask you a question. Do you ever shop with a list?
I think I only do if I'm like, if I'm baking a cake or something, I'll scribble down all the ingredients that I have to find. I feel like on my typical grocery shopping for the week type trips, I usually don't.
Yeah. I mean, and of course, you could probably guess this, friends. Tip number 2 is shop with a list. So this is what I do. And Cindy and I, my wife, we will compare notes using our note section of our iPhone because we share some contacts together. So she could write on the notes and I could write on the notes and it will populate. So we just create a list and then off I go because I can just stay much more focused when I shop and easier not to get off track. So my tip number 2 is try to shop with a list. I mean, once you've planned your meals for the week, which is what I would recommend you do, simply create a shopping list with all the ingredients you need. And having a shopping list makes shopping easier and faster, which helps you reduce all the impulse buys and it helps you to take home only the items you really do need.
That makes a lot of sense.
I mean, do you ever impulse buy?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you walk by those cheddar chips and they're not on the list, but they sound.
I mean, what do they say? You shouldn't go grocery shopping when you're hungry.
Right, exactly.
End up with a cart full of potato chips.
I know, and then I end up eating them in the supermarket. I pay for them. I give them the empty bag, but they always look at me kind of strange. So it also helps you avoid extra trips to the grocery store, which, quite honestly, friends, I'm not very good at. I can be a much more organized shopper because I often will forget things that I need, even if I have a list. And if your shopping list includes nuts and beans and grains, you can consider buying them in bulk to save some money. Keep your pantry well stocked for future meal plannings. Okay, my tip number 3. Now, Jason, this one kind of gets a little bit dicey because some folks are very passionate about this next topic, and that's frozen or canned foods. I think frozen and canned foods get a totally bad rap. But I'm going to kind of share some truths about frozen and canned foods, and maybe it might make a difference in how you shop.
Okay.
Because, the thought is that there's not a lot of nutrients in frozen or canned foods.
Right. I've heard that.
Yeah. I'm going to try to help you understand that that is absolutely a lie. So, when it comes to fruits and vegetables, frozen or canned options are and can be a healthy alternative to fresh produce. What's more, they sometimes cost less. Well, I should just say they always cost less. And they last longer because they're frozen. And many frozen vegetables and fruits have resealable packaging that allows you to use what you need and store the rest back in the freezer when you're done. This way you can enjoy your favorites even when they aren't in season. Now, the controversy is frozen vegetables. The question is, are they healthy? And how do they stack up to fresh produce? Well, I've got some answers on what to choose and when. So, for example, in a 2017 study by the Journal of Food Composition and Analysis, found that there was no significant differences in vitamin content between frozen and fresh vegetables. Furthermore, when there was a slight difference, it was more likely that the frozen vegetables had a higher concentration of nutrients than fresh counterparts.
Wow.
I know. Interesting, right?
Yeah.
There's also a very notable price difference between fresh and frozen produce. Since we're shopping on a budget, frozen or canned vegetables may be more cost effective. I mean, here's just a quick example that comes to my mind. Corn on the cob. Everyone loves corn on the cob, and in Iowa, where we live, that is like an amazing fresh vegetable that oftentimes you can get very inexpensively because people grow so much of it. But if you're in an area that typically doesn't have fresh corn, canned alternative is really great. Frozen is really phenomenal. Now, vegetables may be more cost effective when they're frozen or canned. For example, the average price for frozen cauliflower in my area, last time I looked, was $1.68 per pound. I went to compare to cauliflower florets. They were closer to about $3.25 per pound. Now, the American Frozen Food Institute published a white paper showing that grocery lists comprised of 95% frozen foods could be in line with the dietary guidelines for Americans. For an adult woman, about $8.52 a day or $59.66 per week for an adult woman. I mean, really, I'm going to suggest you do this. Swap your fresh food for frozen when you can. Listen, we've all been there. A recipe asks for a few green beans. And why buy a whole big bag or a half a big bag that you'll never eat them up? Instead, you need a couple of chicken breasts, for example. Now, the green beans, take what you need, reseal them back in the freezer. How about chicken breasts? So what I do, because I only need a few chicken breasts for a casserole or a stir-fry dish, I don't need 8 or 9 chicken breasts. But what I will do is thaw out all the chicken breasts in the bag, bake them, grill them, broil them, and then cook them and season them. And what I will do then is put them all back in the freezer for later use. Now they're cooked and ready to go, simple and easy. So my solution is buying frozen instead of fresh, otherwise be known as the frozen swap. It means being able to use as much or as little as you like without the rest of the pack going past its best date. It can also help you save money. Bulk frozen packs are often cheaper than fresh without compromising on quality, taste, or nutrition. So, here are some of my favorite foods to buy frozen. Veggies are some of the most versatile ingredients around. However, sometimes we can struggle to get through everything while it's still fresh. I'll never forget, we went to Costco one time, and I think we bought a container of like lettuce greens It was like the size of a Volkswagen. And there was no way we were going to eat all of that, and it was really kind of a waste. In fact, it's hard to get through them while they're still fresh. The main reason why mushrooms, onions, cabbage, and other root vegetables, not potatoes, are wasted is because they weren't used in time. So whenever you can swap fresh for frozen, it's a great alternative, and it can even save you time with most frozen vegetables coming prepared, pre-cooked, pre-blanched, ready to go. So the next time you're shopping for veggies, try choosing a frozen bag instead and give it a try. See what you think. A bag of mixed vegetables in the freezer. Grab a handful when you're ready to cook and you're good to go. Why not try frozen sliced peppers in your next stir fry? Bags of frozen spinach normally come in perfect portion sizes, so you can pick out a frozen bundle at a time. Throw it into a pot or a pan or a soup, a really quick and easy swap. Hey, I love swapping. Now, other vegetables you can commonly find frozen include broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, potatoes, mushrooms, beans, sweet corn, even frozen herbs, chopped onions, sliced peppers, sweet potato fries, roasted Mediterranean vegetables, and of course, green peas. I mean, let's face it, your mother always told you to eat peas, right? Peas are great, and I love them in pasta dishes. So these are my go-to frozen vegetables. So when it comes to fruit, sometimes you need a couple of berries, right? You only need a few. Next time, pick up a bag of frozen berries. You need an emergency ice cream topping? Berries. Need to kick up a slice of cake? Berries. So whether you want a bag of mixed fruit or a huge pack of your favorite, this is a great way to avoid waste. And if you've got absolutely loads to use, you can blend them up into a delicious and nutritious smoothie. So my tip number 4 finishes up our fresh fruits and vegetables section. So I want you to understand that when it comes to fruits and vegetables, they're either post-harvest ripened, which means they're picked green and ripened in a box in a warehouse somewhere, or vine ripened, which are very expensive and have a very short shelf life. Post-harvested ripened means the fruit or vegetable will ripen during transport and is seen with much of the produce in major supermarkets. Vine ripened means the produce is picked and sold when ripe, like a farmer's market might have. For some fruits and vegetables, the concentration of many of the vitamins and minerals is highest during the early stages of growth and allows the produce to continue to synthesize micronutrients during post-harvest. Yet, the handling of fruit and vegetables during post-harvest also makes a major impact on a nutrition profile. And listen, eating healthy is all about nutrition, all about having the vitamins that you need. So after reaching peak ripeness and optimal nutritional value, vitamins and minerals begin to diminish the longer the produce is stored. So surprisingly, some of the fresh fruits we are getting at the supermarket may be older than we think. Fruits and vegetables may spend anywhere from a few days to several weeks in transport. I mean, if you live in New York and lettuce is being picked in California, it could be days and weeks before they end up in your supermarket or distribution center. Additionally, the USDA, the United States Department of Agriculture, states that some produce, such as apples and pears, can be stored up to 12 months under controlled conditions before being sold, in a box, in a warehouse, somewhere. Once they reach the supermarket, fruits and vegetables can spend an additional 1 to 3 days on display before they are brought and stored with people's homes to be eaten. So with this in mind, listen, it's just important that we consume our fresh vegetables and fruits in a timely manner rather than forget about them in the refrigerator. This makes my point towards frozen foods. They're picked at the time of ripeness, frozen very close to where they're picked, and all the nutrition is locked in until you thaw them out. I mean, to me, it sounds like a no-brainer. Frozen vegetables, I wouldn't be afraid to use them. As a matter of fact, They're always part of my healthy and happy diabetic meal lifestyle. Receiving your medical supplies like glucose monitors and insulin pumps can sometimes be a hassle, even painful. Painful is taking blood out of your fingertip to test your glucose, but not with US Med. Their motto is better service, better care. It's what they call white glove service, and that's what I experienced. I was worn out by having to make multiple trips to the pharmacy, only to discover the orders were not ready. Long lines, or we need to call your doc to confirm the refill. And they would say, don't worry, we'll take care of everything. Then only to find out 2 weeks later that the doc has not responded to the email or the fax. I would reach out again to the pharmacy, and they would say the doc never called us back, and they never followed up. That's the thing I hated the most. Do what I did. Head over to usmed.com. You'll find the link at happydiabetic.com right on the front page. Are you ready for US Med to always provide you 90 days worth of supplies and fast free shipping? That's right, free shipping. They carry everything from insulin pumps, diabetes testing supplies, to the latest CGMs, the Freestyle Libre 2 and the Dexcom G6. Now, you know how much I love the Libre 2 system. I have it on right now. It's a great system, but to have it delivered simple and easy was amazing. If you're just starting with Medicare like me, I know that's hard to believe, US Med should be your next call. You're going to talk to an operator who will know you by name, have your information, courteous, quick, helpful, and knowledgeable. They cover broad private insurance coverages, over 800 private insurers, and they are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. If you're looking for supplies, everything from insulin pumps, diabetes testing supplies, to the latest CGMs, well, and if you're looking for better service delivered right to your door, US Med might be just what you're looking for. usmed.com or call 888-885-0012. Don't wait any longer. I'm glad I called, and I can tell you this, I am feeling so much love. Okay, hold on. I think I hear my doorbell. That must be my 90-day supply. So Jason, when you shop for your family, do you buy name brands often or more store brands?
I usually tend to go for cheaper, so I do buy a lot of store brands.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I think one thing Jason and I have talked about doing is, I think in an upcoming episode, we're going to get some national brands and some store brands, and we're going to do some blind tasting and really see what the difference is. But in my experience, I've learned that buying a generic or a store brand item can save up to 20 to 30% on your food bill. That's a lot. Items like canned tomatoes and milk and olive oil, frozen fruits, vegetables are usually available cheaper in the store brand version. Ketchups, mustard, pickles. Just to be sure to compare the ingredients and list and nutritional facts along the back panel to make sure you're getting everything you need without any additional weird added ingredients. Learning which store brands your grocery store carries can also help you reduce the total at the cash register. They're just flat out cheaper, but I have found they're just as good. And quite honestly, I know this for a fact, that in some cases, that same ketchup is made at the same factory, but now put under a store label. So I think it's worth an adventure in trying. Not for every product, but I think for many products, the store brand is the way to absolutely go. Okay, Jace, before we get into the recipe of the podcast, I just want to quickly ask you, dill pickle, sweet pickle, what's your jam?
Definitely dill.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they call it sandwich dill pickles. Maybe? Yeah. I like
sure.
those.
Yeah, those are good. Yeah, I love dill pickles. I do love a good sweet pickle. I don't know. I love all kinds of pickles. This recipe, the podcast, because at your local farmer's market and grocery store, you are going to see small pickling cucumbers and dill hit the shelves any minute now. And this recipe is a foolproof dill pickle recipe. It's very old school. It's Charlotte's dill pickle recipe. Jason, you know who Charlotte was.
That's my Nana.
That's right. It's Jason's Nana, my mom, Charlotte. These were her pickles handed down by her grandmother, and it's been in my family for a long time. So let's talk about dill pickles, and let's put it together. This recipe you'll find at my website, happydiabetic.com. Go to the blog section of my menu at the top of the page and search for pickling or dill pickles, and you will see it. But it basically works like this. You're going to dissolve a third cup of kosher salt in 1.5 quarts of boiling hot water. You're going to add 3 tablespoons of mixed pickling spices, 3 cloves of minced sliced garlic or whole garlic, and 2/3 of a cup of good quality white vinegar. You're going to take 3 or 4 stalks of fresh dill in the bottom of your crock. Place the washed small pickling cucumbers on top of the dill. Pour the hot pickling brine over the top. Cover it. Seal it good. Now you don't want to cover it like with cellophane, but just put a plate or something on top of the pickles so they're submerged in the brine. Leave the pickles in a cool spot for about a week to a week and a half. Place a clean plate on top with a small stone to hold the pickles down is what I usually do, right? So I'll take a rock, right? Just to hold that plate down, because you want to really hold the pickles in the brine. And then in about a week and a half, those pickles are delicious and ready to go. We take them out with the brine, put them in jars in the refrigerator, and they're good for weeks and weeks and weeks. I hand them out to the neighbors, and they love them. That is Charlotte's Dill Pickles of Love. Give them a try. Go to my Facebook page, Happy Diabetic. There's also a food group, and tell us what you like. Tell us how they came out. Take some pictures. All right, give them a try. Charlotte's Dill Pickles, old school. So I'd like to invite all my Happy Diabetic friends to see me at the Coffee Pot. So here's what I'd like you to do. Head over to my YouTube page, Chef Robert Lewis, the Happy Diabetic, and click on the subscribe button. And every day from Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time, I will see you at the Coffee Pot. It's my daily live stream with me, Chef Robert Lewis, the Happy Diabetic, and we're going to talk about my exercising, my eating, what I'm going to be doing on that day, and I'd love to hear from you about what you're doing on your day. What interesting things are happening in your life, what food you're eating, what you've discovered, what new dish you're going to cook. So, I'm going to have my coffee at 8 o'clock. See you at the Coffee Pot. Remember, go to my YouTube page, Chef Robert Lewis, the Happy Diabetic, subscribe, and when I go live, you'll know it. All right, I'm looking forward to seeing you online with your favorite morning drink. So be sure to follow me on all my social links. You'll simply find them all at happydiabetic.com. Just look for all my links at the top right-hand side of the page. And hey, if you have a question for me, go to my website, hit the contact tab, you ask questions, I'll answer them, and who knows, they might even become part of the next show. Maybe I'll select your question and send you some cookbooks as a big thank you. Thank you for listening, and if you are loving what you hear in the kitchen, please leave a comment or feedback at Stitcher, Google Play, or Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening. Your thoughts and comments are very much appreciated. Thank you again. Our podcast is produced and engineered by Jason Lewis, my son. Our theme music by the Happy Diabetic Kitchen Band with yours truly, Chef Robert, on the Searing rock guitar. And of course, our kitchen mascots, who are somewhere sleeping tightly. I don't see them anywhere around. Scout and Tucker. So thanks for tuning in, and let me leave you with this thought. Make a difference in someone's life. That's what I like to do. Well, so long for now, and remember, no one loves you more than me.